Hello, everyone, and welcome to We Speak. If something seems a little different, just go with it. It's like Darren on Bewitched. We go into our 6th season with the same dedication we've had from the very beginning to bring forth a thought-provoking conversation that is not only in the power of the message, but conscious of the duty we have as human beings to express who we truly are. We Speak is not just a talk show, it's a vibe. Through our inception, our moderator, Mr. Alvin B has spearheaded our show. But times change, and Alvin has decided to dedicate more of his time to his personal well-being and to the many causes he feels passionate about. We thank him for his participation to We Speak and wish him well in wherever his bright light glides him. Alvin has left big shoes to fill, but the show must go on, and we are proud to welcome the new host of We Speak, Mr. Byron V. Garrett, an accomplished business executive, government official, and humanitarian, a true Renaissance man, one of the most compelling and inspirational voices. Byron is CEO of the National Family Engagement Alliance, as well as the visionary and chief creative officer of the Valdisio Collection, a luxury lifestyle brand. Byron created the Byron V. Garrett Emotional Learning Collection, published by Scholastic to equip young people with the skills needed to navigate society. Mr. Garrett will be joining series regulars entrepreneur Shaina Taylor, entertainer Riley Knoxx, hair guru Dr. Rashan Broadnax, and businessman Ernest Collins.
Cancel culture, a variant of the term, describes a form of boycott in which the called-out person is thrust out of social or professional circles, either on social media, the real world, or both. The expression canceling, in reference to the cancel culture, has been used since 2015, with its widespread usage happening in 2018. Actress Lori Loughlin lost her job after the college admissions scandal surfaced. Film producer Harvey Weinstein, journalists Matt Lauer and Charlie Rose, actors Kevin Spacey and Jeremy Piven, Senators Tony Mendoza and Al Franken, and Carolina Panthers owner Jerry Richardson were all exiled after being accused of serious sexual misconduct. Jussie Smollett and Megyn Kelly, Roseanne Barr for their questionable conduct. And then there are the not-so-famous causation folks that quickly became infamous, like Barbecue Becky, who called the cops on a family having a cookout, and Permit Patty, who phoned the police department on a little girl who was selling bottles of water during the summer. Both lost their jobs after videos of them surfaced and went viral. There was even the call to the Christmas classic, Baby It's Cold Outside, because the song describes a woman's consent being denied. Have these things gone too far? So let's start the conversation here. Are you familiar with cancel culture?
Of course, I think we're all familiar with it by now, in some form or another.
And is there anyone that you feel that's really been canceled that should not have, that the society has just gone too far?
I think there should be some recourse for what the people have done, because it was not really warranted. It was things that were really unnecessary. So in the case of the Barbecue Becky, that was absolutely unnecessary to call the police on a family that was having a cookout in a public park.
But do you think the culture went too far, and the person who placed the phone call, Becky, ended up getting fired and lost her job?
I appreciate that.
Yeah, me too. I appreciate that very much. But I think there are people who, I think should be an expiration date on certain people being canceled. You know, if you do something that has to do with molestation or with like rape or anything sexual, then yeah, you're canceled for forever. But if you do something that was just stupid, or, you know, like, we're pretty forgiving people, Americans especially, like, we kind of forgive and forget very fast. But there's certain things I don't think you deserve to be canceled for that long. Like, that's definitely specific things.
Well, like the cancel culture has called on the Washington Redskins to change their name. And now the cancel culture is even hitting the mowers from the Girl Scout cookies have gone too far. What's your opinion on that?
I think the Girl Scout cookie that's kind of overkill. I think that's probably overboard. I think that's a little bit too much. Say like barbecue Becky, things like that, selling water, on that those are overkill for me. But like Roddy said, when it comes to major things, sexual molestation, things of that nature, that's more of a, in my opinion, a permanent kill.
Yeah, like we're never going to forgive R. Kelly or Bill Cosby. Just not happening.
So no on R. Kelly or Bill
No,
Cosby.
or anybody else who did anything sexual or
Roseanne
related to
Barr.
children, you know, racist rants and all that, you know. Yeah. But
So
I mean,
they
I
deserve
feel
to
like
be
you can come.
canceled.
I mean, but there's certain things like a lot of times people want to cancel you these days for things that they drum up from like 10 years ago. For instance, I recently watched. I saw a post that the Shade Room made because Justin Bieber said that he wants to do better. He apologized again for saying the N-word that he used in a song. He took one of his songs and had replaced the word baby with the N-word and kept saying it over and over and over and over again. And he was 13 years old, and now he's 25 years old. So it's like 13 years old, now people are like, oh, well, should we cancel him? Well, no, because he was 13 years old, and even though he might have known saying that word was wrong, he didn't realize the magnitude of what that word really meant until he lived in the world and had friends and been surrounded by people and was educated on what that word really means and and the background of that word. You know, it's like as a kid, a lot of times we know that we like our parents tell us not to do something. We know it's wrong, but we don't really understand until we're older why that was wrong. And so people want to cancel him. They're like, oh, well, yeah, he's definitely canceled because of something he did when he was 13 years old.
Yeah.
And my thing is, I don't know about the rest of you, but back when I was 13 years old, thank God there wasn't a camera or social media or even like in my teenage years for all those things. You know, most people don't have that, or at least in our age group, my age group, anyway, don't have a camera that was there, you know, that was recording everything that they were doing, you know, if you're not in the public eye. So, you know, things like that, you can't cancel somebody for something they did 10 years ago. And you think about like even Kevin Hart, you know, how he was being canceled because of something he had said. And it's like, we got to allow people to grow. And
So there should be an
do better.
opportunity for redemption.
Absolutely. But here's the problem. Who says, okay, it's time to forgive
When
and
does the
forget?
clock
That's what
run
I was
out?
going to say.
Yeah.
What's the time frame?
And it depends on the severity. I mean, Kevin's was, I think that was definitely overkill. It was overplayed for some reason.
Or do you think people were trying to play gotcha in the case of Kevin Hart? Like people were looking for a reason to kind of bring him down. So this gave them a vehicle.
In that situation, I do believe it was overkill. It was just definitely overplayed, and it just gave him a way. It gave them a reason to try to humiliate him, in my opinion, because to ask for that apology for something they did done already, but you want it now just to get this
And
big
had
opportunity.
apologized for it.
Right. Now you want this opportunity to come to you, but you need to. It's almost like they wanted you to kneel down, to show how how I guess why I mean to show how what's what I'm trying to say how
Humble.
I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a humbling
yourself. They're trying to humble
experience.
you. And you know, it's in that same vein. There's this new thing that happens now. Well, and maybe it's happened for a while, but definitely happening a lot now. As soon as someone see you doing something great, or in celebrity culture anyway, you see someone doing something great, they drum up something from their past, an old
Of course.
tweet. They find something to try to, like, okay, he's going to host the Oscars. Well, let's find something on him. You know?
To exclude him.
And really, you could,
Yeah.
we all have a past. You could find something from anybody.
On
you know?
everybody. You're right. And give you great examples. So President Barack Obama, in his recent commentary, he called out in the middle of a speech woke cancel culture. And he said in that speech, you know, specifically how social media has exploded, that the reaction was also swift in newspaper and editorials and on talk shows. And many folks on one end were applauding the president, then on the other hand, they were incredibly frustrated. So should we exercise more forgiveness throughout that process as people really think about what is too much and how far? And when does the clock actually expire? I think to your point, Riley, who is the person that gets to say, oh, okay, Ellen is forgiven, Roseanne's back into the club, Paula Dean can come back to the circle? Who gets to say that your card is no longer revoked?
Me.
You're the arbiter of everyone's fate?
I am. The judge and jury. I think, to that, we really do have to give people an opportunity to apologize for the things that they've done, because everybody deserves some measure of forgiveness, even those, unfortunately, some people wouldn't think, but like those, like the R. Kellys, the Bill Cosbys, they all deserve an opportunity to, I don't want to say repent, but please
yes,
repent.
But I prefer they do that behind bars.
Well,
There you go.
hey,
You can repent
we have
and grow.
everybody has
Yeah,
their time and they have their place,
Yes.
and that may be it.
And being held accountable for their actions. I guess
Absolutely,
that's your point.
but they should have the opportunity to be sorry for what they've done if they choose, because
So-
not all of them.
Then
are
R. Kelly
actually
wasn't a good example because he had the opportunity. He apologized, and yet things keep resurfacing. So he does not
He
get that pass.
apologized. Did he ever admit to any of it? What do you mean
And
apologize?
he's still not.
Yeah, there's no
So,
apology. because
Well, I
so
guess you're
therefore,
right.
he's
anything
not
wrong.
sorry.
So
But
he
what
doesn't
I'm
get a
saying
pass, in
is
my
if
opinion.
Or is he just sorry it got
wanted to
exposed?
if he came out and said, yes, this is what I've been doing, and I'm really sorry because I didn't realize how the effect that it was going to have on these young women, blah, blah, blah.
And we say,
I
Robert,
think
But even if
we
he
believe you.
apologized
We-
now,
we believe that you are sorry for what you've done, but you're going to jail.
and that's
There
fine.
you go.
But
even if
allow
he
me to
apologized, though,
repent.
I don't think it's going to resonate with anybody. No one's going to believe it at this point in time.
At-
You've had plenty of
yeah.
opportunity to, and arrogantly, you've still
Not
played
done
along with
it.
the charade. So he doesn't get the pass.
So
regardless.
mentioning Robert, then how are you guys feeling about the entire Me Too movement in terms of where people are on one end of the equation? You could be accused of something, and immediately, whether you're found guilty or not, the court of public opinion cancels your entire future, whatever that may be in present. On the other end, you could be Robert, where we have multiple instances that have been now documented where people have said you've done something. So how do you feel where the Me Too movement sits now 3 years in?
Yeah, I think because we have been taught to always believe the victim, because it's rarely something that someone lies about. And you should always believe the victim. But, just like you can make up a lie about anything, you can make up a lie about, a rape or molestation or anything like that. But I think, I don't know. I really don't know the answer to your question, but that's kind of what it is. We've been taught to always believe the victim.
Well, I'll give you a different example. George Zimmerman, who murdered
I saw
Trayvon
that.
Martin,
Right.
is now suing the Fulton
The family,
family
right.
and the Martin family for $100 million as he walks scot-free, and Trayvon, unfortunately, is laid literally in a grave. I mean, so when you think about that notion of, he should have been canceled a long time ago without question, but here he is now inciting a whole different level of trauma on this family and on the broader society.
I'm not promoting violence, but I do. I'm not. But I don't understand. How is it that he is still walking around?
knew you were gonna
Because
say that.
you would think
I knew you were gonna
that someone, like I would not, if I were him and I got away with that, I would probably try to lay a little low. Because I would think someone's going to try to have my head. Someone wants justice that wasn't such.
That's somebody that
Privilege.
is
I
in
would
their
say
right
privilege in
mind.
this case
though.
because of
Exactly.
this.
It is that insanity that has him believing that he's right enough to sue somebody for $100,000.
But not
But
only
it's
that,
his
they
parents. You look at his parents.
$100
$100
million.
Right. But it's his parents. His dad is a judge, right?
I think so.
They're tied in somehow. So he believes he's invincible, just like most law enforcement. Once you do wrong, you've gotten off so many times. Now I just believe it's about him. He wants to hear his name more. He wants to not be in the spotlight
Yeah,
so
he must
much.
be.
But $100 million, that's
He's
ridiculous. He
gotta
got
be
away,
chasing
and that's
fame,
enough.
and simply because you're already infamous for something so heinous and so terrible. But now you're also trying to sue a family for
It's
$100 million.
taunting, right? He's taunting.
Who are you suing for $100 million? They're not Beyonce and Jay-Z.
That's right.
They're not like somebody with Oprah.
And for what, quite honestly?
Because
I mean-
it makes it seem like, okay, if I say $100 million, then this is really going to be in the press. First of all, already suing them is going to be in the press. But it just speaks to how insane you are that you think that you should sue them but also sue them for $100 million.
And how you devalue your action, right? The loss of human life.
It's crazy.
One of the newer segments on We Speak is the personality test. And so there are a whole host of questions. We're just going to do rapid fire and roll through some of those. Would you say that it's personally important to you that other people express how proud they are of you?
The people I love and care about,
correct. I would agree.
not the rest of the world.
And I agree too.
Okay. And if you had the world's attention for 30 seconds, what would you say? You've had it, Riley. So if you had the world's attention focused on you, what would you really want the world to hear you say
Love
in
one
30
another.
seconds?
That's it. Love.
Okay.
That's a good one.
Everybody's going to go with love?
Love is the message. I was actually going to do
Love is the common thread
my
of the whole
spiel,
world.
but
So do you believe that a person's name will influence who they become?
You know, it's really funny, and I know it's supposed to be rapid fire, but it's funny. In certain cultures, they wait. Like in America, we name the person within like the couple days. But in certain cultures, they wait a few days, or actually sometimes for a whole full year before they name the child, because they want to get a feel for the child's personality and name them something that matches their personality. Whereas we name our kids, and it's funny how the name that you give the kids, sometimes you end up becoming, you know, and it's kind of strange that happens that way. Not always. It doesn't always happen that, you know, someone who named Riley becomes, you know, what the meaning of Riley means, and I will tell you later what it means. But it is it is a strange thing that you end up becoming the meaning of that name. Sort of, if you look up your name, it sort of sometimes describes who you are. Like my name, I'll tell you now, my name means brave. And in order for me to be who I am and go through all the things I went through, I'd have to be brave. Now, my parents didn't name me that. So, you know, that's also kind of a special case. So, yeah.
Well, how about what harsh truths do you prefer to ignore? What harsh truths do you prefer to ignore?
About? Like
about you, about reality?
Reality itself.
Oh. Well, I'll say about me that I can be a little mean sometimes.
You're mean.
I know, right?
I don't think you're mean.
But do you ignore
When
it?
people say that. It's
I didn't know
something
that.
that I ignore.
So you ignore the fact that people view you as being mean. So you don't embrace it whatsoever.
I don't.
Okay.
But I know it's true, though.
Wait, but you know that it's true, but you
I
ignore
don't like
it.
to accept that. That's basically what I'm saying. I don't like to buy into it because I don't think that it's done unwarrantedly. But yeah.
Okay. Any other harsh truths that you ignore?
Being a Gemini, I get called out for being both sides. Sometimes nice, and I embrace that, and I agree. But there's also that other side that I definitely embrace and am called out on, and it's true. So I guess overall, I would embrace it.
I would say there's something about myself that I ignore. I think there's things that I'm unapologetic for.
Like what?
But like I know they exist. I'm just not apologizing for it because I just am who I am. I accept them.
And
a
the
lot
world
of
needs
things.
and the
A
world
lot of-
needs to revolve around
No,
your
it's
orientation
not
of
that,
who
'cause
you are.
can just choose not to be my friend. That's not.
Yeah.
That's not.
Okay.
You know what I mean? But I accept the fact. Like I know there's certain things about myself that may get on people's nerves, and but that's part of my personality or part of the way that I am. I'm not really apologetic for it. I don't want to hurt somebody. I don't want to. You know what I mean? Like I'm not intentionally trying to hurt somebody, but if it's just a part of who I am, I'm
It
unapologetic
is what it is.
for it. It's just
And it's
who I
gonna
am,
be
and
what
I'll
it's
try
gonna
to
be.
do better, but that's just who I am.
Okay. Different question for you. Do you believe that access to the internet is a fundamental human right?
I think we have the right to information. You have the right to know things that are going on in the world. But I sometimes feel like, as old as the internet is now, like even though I remember when it started, like I feel like it should just be free. Like it should just be free. Why are you looking at me like that? You don't think that we should have free internet?
Well, what if you're in a low-income community and you don't have access to Wi-Fi? Is that
But that's
still
why I'm saying it should just be. I think it's one of those things that
like air should just be available?
I just feel like that I feel like since that is where everyone gets their information from now, even the news outlets now get their information from, you know, the internet. I feel like we have the right to know what's going on in the world, even if you can't afford it.
It's available whether
But
you can
that's
afford
not
it
the
or
only
not.
way to get the information.
That's true.
So I think the internet really is a privilege. And as you were talking about it, I was thinking about, say, those who may be incarcerated. I recently found out that a lot of people have access to the internet in jail, which I never thought
Yes,
about.
they do.
I found
They
that
do.
out
They
too.
do.
So
And dating apps.
And we're going to leave it right there and come right back after this.
Thanks for keeping your mouth shut. Thanks for minding your own business.
Come on, show me the good ones.
Thanks for not telling my girlfriend.
Send that to me.
Hi.
Thanks for not telling anyone.
When you do nothing, you're helping him. But when you do something, you help her.
Thanks for telling the bartender. Thanks for stopping him.
Thanks for telling HR.
Thanks for getting help.
Who will you help? Stop sexual harassment and violence when you see it.
I am courageous.
I am stylish.
I am conscious.
I am a trailblazer.
I am the greatest. I'm dedicated.
I am dominant.
Welcome back to We Speak. So we're doing our personality test and going through these great questions. And the next question that came to mind is, would it matter to you how long you'd be remembered after you die?
Hell yeah. I didn't do all this work in the world to, like, not be remembered. Like, that's crazy. I mean, especially, you know, you'd want, like, your great-grandkids and great-great-grandkids to hear about your legacy and who you are. Like, that's what we do. I think all of us, you know, that's why we do what we do, is to make a difference in the world. So if you're not remembered after you die for that much longer, then it speaks to how long. Yeah, well, what was the point?
So you want to have a legacy?
Of course.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So what is something that you just recently realized that you're embarrassed that you didn't know earlier?
I would have to say it's not something recent, but I really did not know that there was not a thing, or there was no such thing as gay marriage. So I just always assumed that we could get married. And I remember even back being very young thinking about getting married.
Well, when did you find out that gay marriage was?
When people started talking about it now. I thought we could always get married.
Oh, you thought it was always legal?
My thing was, why would I think that I couldn't?
I like that attitude,
and see,
though.
that was really the
good
thing.
perspective.
I never knew that you couldn't, because I was like, why couldn't you?
But isn't it wonderful to know that a little boy that's now like 5 years old later on in life will be able to not even know about a time.
Absolutely.
That's the
that
new
there
norm.
was- They'll just, you know, the normal. Yeah. I don't embarrass easy. I think the older I get, the less embarrassed that I get about things. And
Okay.
even if something embarrassing happens, you just kind of like to shut it up before that happened. Yeah.
So a
Stuff
different
works
question.
out.
If you could close down one fast food restaurant because the food is just absolutely disgusting, what restaurant would you close down?
All of them.
Burger
So I don't look
King.
For many of them.
Burger King,
Burger
the
King.
BK?
Really?
Yes.
They now have an impossible,
Impossible Burger, right?
They have
And
hot
it's
dogs.
not
They're
bad.
reaching. They're trying too hard. Hot dog. I mean, just a variety.
dogs?
Oh, they had hot
At Burger King?
dogs. Absolutely. They were reaching.
You know, I saw a meme. that
Trying too
said,
hard.
You know, when you're sitting here trying to decide whether you should do something that's out of character, and meanwhile Burger King is making tacos.
Oh, my goodness.
It's
See?
like, so there is a good lesson there, but it's just I don't eat at fast food restaurants, so I don't know which one.
Jack in the Box. I
guess
can
what-
name lots of them.
Close down
Well, 'cause you
Chick-fil-A.
gotta think, like, what food?
I'm kidding.
But
No
it's,
one wants to
it's
do
because
that.
the food is disgusting, right? Not just because we woke or have cancel culture, but the food is just absolutely disgusting.
I don't know one that's like absolutely.
Everything's nasty.
You've never been somewhere and you just say, I'm never coming back here. I'm just not. Nope.
Do you have
because-
one?
I got a couple.
What?
I have a couple too.
Okay, well, what is
Like, I can't do Arby's because I know it's, like, probably
Oh,
not
wow.
real meat. I'm
See, I
fairly
don't-
certain.
Wow.
But okay, but
It is.
you said because
It's about as real as
question is
McDonald's meat.
because it's
I don't do McDonald's either.
not what you think it is.
No, but Arby's
because
is
it's
disgusting to me, just
does
the-
it really just?
And I
taste
eat meat,
bad?
but I'm like,
Okay, so which ones are you gonna close?
Jack in the Box, West Coast chain.
They have the best tea. That peach
The
tea.
tacos. They have the tacos. I remember
God, I
coming
always
in.
wish they had it here just
Oh,
so I could
yeah.
have the
Tacos.
tea.
And we called it
I
Jack
don't
in the
know
Crack.
what it is. Right. I don't know what it is, but you put a little ketchup on it and it's delicious. But they
Say,
should
but I don't know
close
what
it.
it is. It's the same.
But
thing
with
as
ketchup,
the,
it's
After
good?
the cocktails, really, it's 3 o'clock in the morning.
Oh, okay. That's the reason.
food is disgusting.
How about this one? What modern invention do you feel has caused the most misery?
Phones.
I was about to say cell phone.
Absolutely.
phones.
Cell phones. Cell
Yes.
phones, absolutely.
I was in China earlier in the year in both Shanghai and Beijing, and it was amazing to me how they use their phones differently than we do. Because A, they don't have access to the internet. Like you can't go to Facebook,
Right.
no Instagram, no Twitter, no Snapchat, no Google Music.
Where were
It's
you, in
very
North Korea?
limited. No, I was in China. I know, right? You would think that's where, but no, they literally control their usage of social media.
Yeah.
And when you're
So
in
what
a
are they using their
restaurant, you
phones
don't
for?
see everybody on their
Just
phone.
talking to people on the
They
phone?
have their own internal chat system called WeChat, but folks are not on at the same rate that we are. You could go to breakfast and half, if not more than half of the folks are just enjoying breakfast.
And
They're
what are
not
their
sitting here
personalities
like, well, that's
Because
a
I feel
different
that must be the
story.
driest personality in the world if you're
The
not don't know
Sahara.
what else is going on.
Well,
in
because
the
you're
world.
not online. Like,
But
look
if
what
you don't know
happened
else
this
is going on in
morning.
the world, I feel like part of people are so much more colorful these days because of the
But you
internet,
don't
because
feel
of
the
their
burden
phone.
though to check. Oh my God,
So
what they
these
say
people
this
that
morning?
didn't have that burden and weren't checking things, what were their personalities like?
I don't know. I don't speak Chinese, Mandarin, or
They were
Cantonese.
dull.
They looked like they may have been happy.
It's safe to say they were dull.
But the reason why I say
Yeah,
cell phone,
right.
there are lots of reasons. I mean,
Yeah.
you walk out in the street while you're on it, you lose total focus of where you are. You're behind the wheel. Most people think they can drive and
Yeah.
talk and text. They can't do it. I mean, it's just a very dangerous tool that's, in my opinion, out of control.
And it
That
eats a
was-
bunch of time.
That was something I actually saw on the news today. They were talking about people walking and how many accidents are caused because of that. And so they were showing, in one instance, a lady was walking down the street and she fell into like the little open.
I saw that too. I saw that.
Or like the video where the lady falls
She
into the
fell
pond.
into the
Right.
You're
Fell
like,
into a
you're
manhole, just disappeared.
Like, you know, the little basements that stores have and they have like those like
In New York especially.
That's where she fell. She was just
In New
walking,
York,
and she
yeah.
fell right over into it.
because she wasn't paying attention. She was
Yeah.
on her phone.
Yeah.
Something must have been good.
I don't know if
You
it
know,
was
I
good.
do something that's kind of like a little a-hole-ish. If I see someone I'm walking down the street or in a mall anywhere, and someone's down on their phone, I purposely walk right in front of them, waiting for them to look
To
up
see
and
if
like run into, and then right before they're about to run into them, they're like, "Oh, sorry." It's like,
Every single time.
yeah.
Different question for you. What is the stupidest thing you've done because someone dared you to? Somebody dared you to do
I don't know if
something.
anybody dared me to do this, but sort of. You guys know that like last year I broke my back in 2 places, right? So I was doing something so stupid. Like I was simply just playing around with Delilah. I was playing around with her and we were basically kind of horse playing. She was pulling me, I was pulling her, and we were basically like just being crazy, and then I slipped back and broke my back in 2 places and was out of work for a while. But
Wow.
but I think that's probably the dumbest thing that I did and had a crazy outcome. But yeah, but it wasn't really a dare.
I'm not good at dares, so
I don't think
Peer pressure
can't
doesn't
really
really.
think
So nobody dares you, Ernest, and you're like,
that
nah.
I would do. No, nothing really outrageous. No.
Okay. How about this? What's the wildest thing you've ever done in a hotel room?
Go to commercial.
I'm interested. What is the?
I was not quite at break.
We'll be
I'm
right back.
interested. It's not,
Not
time. You still have
quite.
10 minutes. I'm interested to know Ernest's answer to that question.
It's so many.
What have you done? Name one.
the craziest thing you've done in a hotel.
Balcony.
Balcony
What
what?
about it?
What'd you do on this balcony?
What rated are we?
You can make it PC. I mean PG. Just without
Sex
saying
on the balcony, just flat out sex on the balcony where there were hotels
Oh, that's
all
exciting.
around.
That's the
That's
most.
so not me.
That's the craziest thing you've done.
That's wild.
You prude. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I'm
Well,
kidding.
let's hear you, right?
Oh, I've done it all, so it doesn't really.
See?
Oh.
Oh my.
I had for an event, I had the Hangover Suite in Las Vegas and Caesars,
Mhm.
which no one can see in because of the way the suite is
Okay.
situated above the strip. So I had a full-fledged concert. It was just me by myself, butt naked, just going crazy, just singing. I thought this was my stage, and I'm performing for everybody out on the strip. And I'm so thankful, though.
The awesome thing would have been if you would have seen on like Twitter later on this man.
Who's this crazy
he
man?
must be drunk up here naked, unidentified man on a balcony naked singing.
Well, how about this in terms of questions? What if you had one opportunity to apologize to someone that you should have too long ago? Who would it be, and why?
Honestly, I don't think I'd apologize to anybody. And the reason why is years ago when I was in LA, I apologized to this guy that we had this misunderstanding about, and he died the next day. And for that particular reason, I probably won't. Hopefully, I won't put myself in that situation again. But that was kind of scary. That apology was really kind of scary and sad.
But that was a good thing.
For who?
Thank you.
For the gentleman.
So he died knowing that you were sorry, though.
Right. That didn't bring me.
So for him, it was good, but for you.
Right. To me,
But
it's
which
like
would have
that.
been worse? He
And then
died and you didn't apologize.
Right.
And you never got to tell him you were sorry. Wouldn't you regret that?
I would have been okay.
Who are you?
On that note, we'll be right back after this break.
A man was waiting at an airport for a long-distance flight. His flight was delayed, and so he had a little spare time. He saw a deal on some cookies and thought he should treat himself. He bought quite a few cookies because he thought it might be quite a long delay. He took a seat near a man and started to read the magazine he also picked up earlier. He exchanged a glance with the other man and then tried to avoid eye contact as he went back to reading. While he was engrossed in his magazine, he happened to see that the man sitting beside him boldly grabbed a cookie from the container. He initially ignored the incident to avoid a scene. He grabbed a cookie himself and went back to his magazine. But the man seemed to have enjoyed the cookie so much, he took another one and started eating it too. This continued for a while, and with each passing moment, he began to get more and more irritated. Every time he took a cookie, so did the other man. When the last cookie was left, the man nervously took that cookie and broke it in half. He offered the other to the man and smiled. The man took the cookie and could not believe the other man's nerve. He was thinking in his head, how ungrateful could that man be? The other man then left and took the container with him. This guy couldn't believe what had just happened. He was relieved when his flight was called. He gathered his belongings. As he lifted his bag, he saw that there was a full container of cookies right there. He was totally shocked, totally surprised. It caught him off guard. He thought to himself, if my cookies are here, then wait, those cookies were his. The other man had shared his cookies whilst he was thinking he was the one doing the sharing. Whilst he was angry and irritated, the other man was being generous and kind. He felt so bad for what had happened, but he couldn't find the other man anywhere and didn't know how to apologize. Things are not always as they appear. Sometimes we make quick assumptions about people, circumstances, and situations. We judge them, label them, and put them into a box, not recognizing that there is a much bigger picture. Sometimes we meet someone in a particular state, stage, or phase of their life and stereotype them to be a certain way. Don't be so quick to judge. You never know when you might find yourself walking in someone else's shoes. And remember, the best apology is changed behavior.
Welcome back to We Speak, and we're in the middle of our personality test. So our next question is, what do you attribute your personal success to?
Hard work, determination, and some great people behind me.
Okay.
Honestly, mom and grandma. Period. Yeah.
I would definitely say the life experiences that have been afforded to me really shaped who I am, and a lot of those can be attributed to my parents and my family.
Okay. Different question as it relates to humanity. Do you believe we are headed in the right or wrong direction?
Once upon a time in the right direction. It's going to take a long time to get us back in the right direction. I think we were, but we're off track right now with the hopes of getting back in the right direction again. That's just all I can say again.
I'm kidding.
I'm sure many people feel that way. Well, and that's a different question, right? Do you attribute it to the current political climate, which is why you say we're going in the wrong direction?
Absolutely.
But we're talking about broader humanity.
Hope, you know?
Okay.
Especially in America, because remember, but also, you know, our political climate affects the rest of the world too, you know? So I definitely think a lot of people lost hope, and then people get away with things now that they typically wouldn't have gotten away with, or think they can get away with things because of, you know, the current administration.
And what do you feel is the best way for a person to obtain happiness?
Look within.
love themselves first.
Yep, look within.
I think if you love yourself first, then you're
Good
qualified or capable to love other people.
Those are both the same. Doctor, you agree? You got something different?
It's like Family Feud.
Okay, good answer. And what do you contribute to society? You as an individual, what's your contribution to society?
Oh, so many things. You've contributed a lot. Go
Well,
ahead.
I would say my contribution would be me, and just all that I bring. So.
Okay. How about you, Riley?
Glamour and fabulosity. I'm kidding now. No, that's seriously just a way to get people's attention. But really, I think the real thing is living authentically. That's the biggest thing I think that I could ever do by example for the rest of the world. Living authentically against all odds and not, listening to people when they tell you that you can't do something or that you don't deserve something. I think that's the biggest thing that hopefully that will be the thing that I'm remembered for. And I'm not the only person, but, I did it my way.
Ernest?
Wisdom and life's experience, which I can give, and I guess I can give and I can, how do I say this? That I can give to other people. So in other words, I say the education that I have, the knowledge and experience that I have, when I die, I can't take it with me. So if I have someone that can listen to me and that's willing to take or accept or, get some of what I have, I gladly give it to them.
Pay it forward.
Very well said. And which is more important to you? To help yourself, help your family, help society, meaning the community that you live within, or help the world?
Yes.
Yes. A resounding yes.
In that order. Okay. In that order.
But in that, okay.
In that order. Read it again.
Okay. Yourself,
Yep.
the family,
Yep.
society, meaning
Yep.
your community, and
Yep.
the world.
In that order.
Okay. Why would you say
You
that?
can't help
though?
other people unless you help yourself first. It's just like when you're on a flight and they tell you that you put your mask on first before.
You missed your cue.
Right. You put your mask on first before you help other people. You can't help other people until you help yourself.
Very well said. Guys?
I agree.
Good answer.
So you don't think you have this urging to just go out and say, I'm going to save the world in spite of what my
Superman
personal
complex,
condition
people
is?
pleaser? No.
Okay.
I'll do my part.
What does that mean?
I'll recycle. I'll do some of the things, but I'm not going to go out and try to save things that I have no knowledge of, things that I have basically no understanding of. I have people that try to change the air and, things like, things that I can control, bottom line. Certain things I just can't control. So things that are within my reach, I will.
Right.
Or I'll try.
Very well said. Different line of questioning for you. What life-altering thing should humans ideally do to get to do at least once in their lifetime? So what's the one life-altering thing you think everybody should get to do at least once in their lifetime?
Go ahead.
Be educated.
Oh.
That's a
deep.
great answer. Now I feel like not saying what mine was. Yeah.
The doctor came through.
Yeah. That's probably the best. But I think something that I've done and that I think was like the most eye-opening and changed everything is I took a cross-country trip. And I don't mean on a plane, like literally drove across country and see different parts of this country. Because so many times we go to other countries and see how other, people live, but there's so much going on in our country that is not, especially if you live in a bigger city like Washington, D.C. or New York, if you go see the Midwest or see, different parts of Texas and all, like it was the most eye-opening experience. And then seeing, like you feel so small seeing these huge, majestic mountains and all these things that were not created by man. And you're like, it puts your life into perspective. I think it changes the way you look at things and the way you live and seeing how other people live also.
What is the most important goal every person should have?
Okay, so the most important goal I feel is to attain some level of education. I think that in order to reach the levels of success that most people have for themselves, they have to have acquired some level of education. And I really believe, as many people used to think like it was just great to be able to finish high school and be done, we really have to look forward now as time has gone on and seek higher education to really put ourselves in the places where I believe that most people really believe they should be. I don't believe that people really want to live, you know, in a society of poverty or in a situation of poverty. They always have greater hopes and desires for themselves. So I think the education really does open the door for that.
Yeah, and to piggyback off that's like the best answer. But I think, like, you know, educating yourself gives you knowledge, and knowledge is power. You know, you have power. Once you know something, you have power to do other things.
Right.
You know, and even if you don't choose to do a higher education or, like,
Right.
you know, or to continue like in college or something, educating yourself constantly and knowing what's going on, reading and finding out, you know, even if you have to Google things, you know, is power.
Now, how about this? Oh, go ahead, Ernest.
And for those that don't have that education level, or those that don't have that ability to learn, just be the best you that you can be. Be the best positive person that you can be. Because everybody's not capable of obtaining the education that others have, or some can't even learn. So just be a positive person and just be the best individual that you can be.
You know what, the one thing I constantly think about, Ernest, is that I really hope we get to the place where everybody does have the access to education. So
And the desire.
then in that sense, it will be a choice. You know, it's higher education is not for everyone.
Right.
You know, and for some people, it's just not a desire. But let that be their choice and not let them be denied.
Oh, very well said.
Good, very good.
Now,
Vote for me
what?
for president?
Come on now. What if people could actually say whatever they wanted? Where would society be?
Well, don't you think that's the way that we have moved?
That's
You
where
know,
we are
it's
now.
so funny because you
Absolutely.
told everybody that the freedom of speech was a thing, and then people started really exercising that right, and that's how we got cancel culture. So
All right,
Very
tied
good,
it back. Very good,
very
very good.
Very good.
I always try to tell people in my travels that you should see and hear twice as much as you ever say. Because you should be able to process, take in the information. Because oftentimes we say stuff and you can't, once the words, they leave your lips. I know as a child growing up in my household with my folks, it was really simple. There are many things I would have to think before they would ever, ever, ever leave my lips. So that shoe would be coming across my shoulder. I would see it as soon as the last word left my lips. It would definitely be coming. But I always wonder sometimes if we've gone too far from that standpoint.
Yeah,
If people
because now
feel
people
like
aren't just
I can
saying
just
it.
say anything I want to.
people aren't just saying it; they're typing it, and then it
Yep.
lives on forever. You know, it's never completely gone. Someone screenshots it, and even if you delete it, you know, they say it, forget it, write it, regret it. So
And by what standards do you judge yourself? What standards do you judge yourself?
by my own, really,
Okay.
honestly.
Nobody
It's not
else's.
a cocky answer. I swear, it's by my own. It's not. I think it's a thing that happens as you get older. You know, when you're easily influenced by peer pressure when you're younger, you know, and you judge yourself by what everybody else is doing, by who has the latest this or the latest whatever, and you know, you do things. Your standards aren't as high because you know you are influenced by what everybody else is doing. Well, everyone's doing it. Everybody's, you know,
Yeah.
doing it's the end thing. And then as you get older, you realize that you just have to have a brain of your own and have, you know, your own standards and what's the other word I'm looking for? Well, yeah, standards is probably the best word.
Yeah.
That was the question, yeah.
I believe you got to follow your own compass. I mean, you have a foundation that you formed from somewhere, either based upon your values, beliefs, where you went to school, negative and positive experiences. But I agree, Riley. I think you get to a point where you say, going forward, I'm judging myself based upon, I've got to look myself in the mirror
about to say
every
that.
single day.
Yeah.
I don't care what anybody else had to say about it. But if
Start
I'm
to
not
realize
happy with
that as you get
myself,
older, yeah.
Right.
the rest
Well,
of it falls
ultimately,
apart.
What difference is it going to make if you're not happy with yourself?
Yep. I got a really tough question for you. What combination of foods do you really enjoy?
Something strange?
Yeah.
Ooh, I have one. Go ahead.
Like what?
So people are going to think this is strange, but this actually has become a new, well, not new, but it's like a
It's a
ritual
thing?
now. It's like a thing, especially when I'm traveling. So I don't really like chocolate,
Okay.
but my favorite candy is Skittles, right? So, but the only real chocolate I really like is like peanut M&Ms. I like taking the big bag of peanut M&Ms and dumping Skittles into them and eating them together. I love it. It's like, and
A sugar
I,
rush?
well, yeah, but everyone here knows I have a candy addiction. But Skittles mixed with peanut M&Ms, not the
Really?
regular M&Ms, but peanut M&Ms and Skittles of any flavor together is like my jam.
You say weird combo?
Yeah.
Beer and cake.
Whoa.
Beer and cake, yeah.
What kind of beer?
Doesn't matter. The strong acidy taste of beer with the sweet of it makes the cake sweeter, actually. It's a weird combination. Everybody thinks it, but
I have to try that to see what.
Well, I think that salty sweet is always
Yes.
nice.
Yes.
Like I like what is it? Salted caramel crown apple.
Well,
Yeah.
Come on, libation.
That's what I like.
Yeah.
But it's like that perfect.
The sweet and
mix.
savory. Yeah. Have you guys ever seen anybody take a Wendy's Frosty and dip their fries into it?
Yes.
Yes.
No.
Yeah.
And you're like,
my
what in the
goodness.
world are you
It
thinking?
sounds strange, but it actually
Yeah.
is like a thing. I once saw
sounds worse than
Michelle
my beer
Williams
and
from
cake.
Destiny's Child take her coffee and dip a Slim Jim in it. Now that's not happening, but
Let's move on from
that's
there.
just nasty.
So how about this? What social stigma do we just need to get over?
I'm not sure I understand the question.
Well, I mean, think about, so from a stigma, like what's the one thing that it could be a preconceived notion, it could be something that society has just continued to batter this particular point, and you're like, no, we just need to get over that. Everybody's just not the same way. We just need to go ahead and move on, get past that. And
Judging people by the way they look on the exterior. What you look like is not who you are.
Wow.
It's just not.
Well said.
What you look like is not who you are.
No.
Okay. It's a portion of you, though,
It
right?
is, but it's not all. But just because it's just like that's why racism exists, you know.
Yeah.
Because people think that you're a certain way or you're this or a stereotype. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Just because you're a black man doesn't mean that you're the black man that they knew or like every other black person they knew. You know, you ever had somebody, especially since you're very well educated, very articulate, have you ever had somebody say, you speak so well?
Oh, I haven't. It happens all the
Yeah.
time.
As if they're surprised because of the color of your skin or because of the way you look on the outside.
Yeah, and I ask folks, how am I supposed to speak? Because I'm wondering, like, what should be coming out of my mouth right now? What was your expectation?
I have people that are
That's a good
surprised that
one.
I'm smart. And it's like, why? Well, because I just expected you to be superficial and glamorous and all this stuff. What?
But you have a brain.
That's dumb.
You can't get to where you are without. I mean, that's a good one. How about you all? You got a social stigma you think people just need to get past?
Yeah, all black folks don't like chicken.
I don't eat chicken.
See,
Okay.
look at there it is.
You eat meat, though?
No.
Oh, okay.
Oh, wow.
So none. Got it. You got a stigma?
No.
No? Okay. What food have you ever eaten but would really like to try? I'm sorry, what food have you never eaten but you'd really like to try it?
Escargot.
Snails.
I've never tried it.
Okay. I keep hearing people talk about, there are two things that come to mind for me. One is blowfish, but then at the same time they say it's one of the
kill you,
deadliest
right?
things you could eat if it's not prepared. I'm like,
Right.
why would you want to try it? The second is there's something called durian fruit out of Asia that has a very awful smell, but the taste of it is supposed to be the exact opposite of the fragrance.
But don't we eat in with our
With
smell?
with all of our senses.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which-
I just want to try. I mean, and they're huge. I mean, literally, it could be almost as big as a watermelon, no pun intended, or larger.
smells?
But when you cut it open, it has a certain distinct odor to it. But when people eat
Isn't
it,
that
they
the way people feel about chitlins?
There's nothing wrong with chitlins.
Right.
What?
But people don't like the way they smell, but they love the way they taste.
Absolutely nothing wrong with chitlins.
Right.
Chitlins are amazing.
You
But that's what
you
I'm
still
saying.
eat chitlins?
That's how
Absolutely.
people.
Just had them for Thanksgiving.
But
You can have it.
But this is what I'm
We're
saying
in a
is that
different
people
era.
don't like the smell of them, but they like the
Oh, they're
taste.
cooked outside. I don't cook them. I just eat them.
Yeah, but you get it. Like that fruit is like the same way, but I don't know that I could actually put that fruit in my mouth if it smelled really
I
bad.
can't think of anything.
Can't get past it. Yeah,
I think
I
the
agree.
only thing that I tried, and I know this isn't extreme, but lamb chops. Just the fact of it being lamb chops, something I wasn't raised with, something I wasn't accustomed to having.
You've never tried them?
Oh my
But you
gosh,
want
it's like
to?
my well, I have. It's
Oh,
delicious.
okay.
But I can't. Most things I don't like, I won't try. Like you guys saying the fish and escargot. I know I'm not trying
Yeah.
those things.
You're
Sushi.
not even gonna give
it's
it
just
a
not
shot.
my thing.
Wait, hold up. I'm sorry. Did you just say you sushi? You have never tried sushi?
I did.
You're from
I did say that, and I did not, and I have no.
From
desire
LA?
to.
Really?
sushi?
I
Ugh.
tried it, but I
That's
don't care for it.
surprising.
See, that's another reason why.
I just think you guys have had bad sushi.
Could be.
Well, I do eat a crispy tuna roll. I can do that,
That's
but the
not
rest
sushi.
of it, y'all can have it. I don't want to be swimming later on. So, another question before we get ready to go to the break. What's something you really resent paying for? What's something you bought that you really resent paying for?
Cable.
Oh, my God.
Water.
Why is cable so freaking expensive?
I'm going through that debate right now.
If no one's watching cable anymore, like if people have all these streaming networks and Hulu and Netflix and now Disney and all these
Amazon
Apple TV,
and
all this
all of
stuff,
them.
and no one's got cable, why is it still $300 a month?
Because no one has it.
But you would think that would lower the price so that people would get
They
it
need
again.
more people to pay for it.
They're going to go out of business. All right.
We all got to get a
Mine would be, and it's personal. When I first moved here, I bought a Range Rover because everybody in LA that I knew had one. So I bought one.
Not here.
And I could have purchased a brownstone for on New York Avenue for like $32,000.
It would be worth
and
so
I bought
much
a
now.
car. I don't have the car to this day, and that brownstone is worth close to $1 million, if not $1 million.
And see, this is why you need a friend like me to tell you that as soon as you drive that car off the lot, it's going to depreciate, but
It's sitting in
the
the
value of
mainstream most of the time.
the value of the house goes up.
So please tell us that you bought both, that you bought the Range Rover and you ended up buying the brownstone.
Brownstone is out of my reach right now.
Okay.
And I do not have it. Oh, I don't have the Range Rover either.
See, you could have still had that brownstone and made so much money selling it now.
It's a regret.
The next question up for the group and for the panel is, what are you currently worried about?
I'm worried about the state of where we are, where we're going.
And is that as a country or as a broader society?
As a country as a whole, seeing that in this day and age, in this new era, I've seen growth from the 80s to 2000 or so forth, and yet here we are in 2018, 2016. I see us going backwards, and I think it's going to take us much longer to repair where we are right now to get back to where we used to be, if that makes any sense.
So that's what you're worried about?
Absolutely.
Doctor, anything?
I would definitely say one of the issues that are on my mind is the whole issue of the climate change, because as we move forward and we look at how the world is changing due to the climate change, what will the world look like in 10 years? What will it look like in 20 years? So that's something that I think about often.
Yeah, you ever notice that when you see those movies from the future, like anything that has to do with the
like
future?
A Day After Tomorrow or
Day
something
After
like
Tomorrow,
that?
They're all in like these depressing colors and suits and all this stuff. Like you can't even breathe the air. It's like that's probably something I'm worried about. It's like our kids. What are your great grandkids gonna breathe?
Yeah.
And are we gonna be wearing bathing suits in December?
You might, depending upon where you are. Mine relates back to yours regarding education. I think we're almost at a point where some people don't even value the education the way they should. Like all the things you said that someone's going to need an education to advance themselves, I think some people don't. There's a huge disconnect between what's required now and long term and where people think they can get without it. Versus when I grew up, it was like it's not an option. You can go to military, get out, or go to school. It's one of the three, but you're going to do one of them in this particular space. But I think in this day and age, I could see a young person, even parents and grandparents sometimes saying, I don't think it's worth the money. It's not necessary. They don't need to go to diploma. He need to go to work. But that's one of the things I worry about, that we've lost our need and realization of why you should have an education.
Well, the interesting thing, like my personal story was I was that person. I thought that I was extremely bright as a younger person, and I went to work, and I did very well at work. And I was like, oh, go to college for what? So I stopped. And I just felt that I was, bright enough to kind of forge a path and be very successful. But as 20 years had gone by, I realized, where could you possibly be had you done what you were supposed to do 20 years ago? So that kind of pushed me to complete that task. And I've seen the doors open really quickly because of that. So then I always bring that back and say, if I could, at 40, having those opportunities, if I could have had them at 20, where would I be now?
Right.
And so that's one of the reasons why I advocate for education for a lot of people.
Well said. Different question for you. A recent survey shows that 45% of Americans receive their news from Facebook. Where do you get your news from?
Definitely not from Facebook. We've had this conversation before. I believe.
So where do you get it from
news,
then?
So I'll tell you. I have a belief that there's a certain age group that is on Facebook.
Okay.
And there's a certain age group that does not get on Facebook. I'm of the age group that does not get on Facebook.
Got it.
Okay.
So where do you get your news from?
Instagram.
Okay, that's fair. So it comes from social media.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
How about you all?
Mine comes from television and more so radio. I like the live feed as opposed to scrolling to try to.
That's because you're old school. And not old.
I mean, no, I'm not offended.
No,
I'm not offended at all.
Here's the thing. Let me break it down. It's because you're old school, not old. See, the thing is, now you can get information so quick. You don't have a thirst for that information super quick, because most people do. Most people, because we've been programmed now with all the phones and social media and all that, you want to know everything. You want to know it right now. You want to know it fast. You want to know it quick. That's why Google exists. That's why social media and all the scrolling on your timeline,
Right.
and so people who are old school are used to having, looking in the paper or looking on the TV and waiting till they get home, or, or going on the radio. Whereas you're not always in front of a TV, or you're
That's
not
right.
always, in your car or wherever listening to the radio, but you can just go online and
Consume
get
it
it so quickly.
right on your device.
Okay,
Yeah.
Riley, in my defense.
Oh, no. I'm
No,
defending you.
I'm just saying.
No,
No.
I'm actually defending you.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
He's like, no, I didn't
I
feel
don't
that
have a lot
way.
of time.
Yeah.
So when I get up in the morning, which is like 4:30 in the morning, time is of essence. I'm getting dressed. So
Yeah.
the news, what I hear
You can hear
instantly,
it.
I'm conditioned
Yeah,
to.
but see,
to
because
that
you
in
don't
the
have a lot of
morning.
time, you would think you would be on your phone
I don't
more.
have that kind of time.
But
to
see, you're also
access
not one of
it.
those people
Well, I
that's scrolling
think
on your phone, which is
absolutely,
to
and
be
I think
commended.
that's more of the key.
Yeah.
There are those of us who live by our phones, but I
Right,
think also what it was, a comment that you made was that we are programmed to, and I think
That's
we
right.
are of like in that era where we started learning how to use
Absolutely.
social media. And like the kids now, they're definitely going to do it because they have the social media
Yeah.
at their fingertips.
That's
and
how
they're
they consume.
really,
They're like,
really
what's a
young.
newspaper?
Well, that's
You
how
know?
they consume everything, right?
Yeah.
I want to learn how to do it. I'll watch a YouTube video.
Right. Exactly.
There's got to be an app for it. I always tell people, if you want to make $1 million, invent an app for something that you've reached your phone for
Right.
that it could not do. That's the next big
Yeah,
thing.
but see,
right?
the thing is I think we can't knock the way the world is because of technology, because if we could have done things easier in the 80s, we would have done it.
Right.
It's like people who were slaves, or people who lived back in the 20s and the 30s, all that. They can't be mad at us for, or the people in the 80s because they have access to something that
was not invented then.
Because you know what? The same thing's going to happen with the next generation. They're going
You're
to
exactly
we're going to
right.
be mad at them because they got their message.
Flying
Yeah,
cars.
they're flying in cars. Like,
So
well, back
one
in
last
my day,
quick
I could get
question
around
for
that.
you before we get a wrap for the day. Who do you go out of your way to be nice to?
Children and older people.
Just older people,
Nice.
not children.
No children?
I love
That's
babies
a
and
great
children.
answer because that is true. Children, older people, and my spouse.
You go out of your way for your spouse. That's so great.
Look at that.
That's awesome.
So I think I've got time for maybe one more. Or not. I thought it would have.
That's why I was like, oh, really?
Okay, one other question for you. What's the worst backhanded compliment you could give someone? What's the worst backhanded
You're
compliment you
so
could give
much
someone?
prettier, like in person.
Oh, okay.
Happens. Oh, you look so much smaller in person than you do on TV or on stage. That's the worst That's not a compliment.
Right.
Well, one we said earlier, you sound so intelligent.
Oh, worse.
That's
You speak so
backhanded, though.
eloquently.
Why wouldn't you expect that?
You think they don't know any better?
Well, clearly.
Okay,
They
what
think
about
they're
you,
complimenting
Ernest?
you.
Right, they do.
Close to what she said, but I thought you were a lot taller.
I thought
than
you were
look
a
on
lot taller.
television,
You
yeah.
do look taller on TV.
No, I'm just saying in general. If you ever see somebody, like I've seen entertainers in person and on television, they're one size, but when you actually see them, it's like, God, you're a lot taller.
Yeah.
On television, you actually are.
It's so funny because it's in that same what you and I said is I once heard Oprah say that people say, "Oh my God, you're even prettier in person." She's like, "Well, I hope I'm pretty on TV too, since that's my job, and that's
Right.
where I am most of the time. Like you would hope you look just as good on TV as you do in person." But people think they're complimenting you when they say things like that. So with all that being said, welcome to the show, Byron. We're
Thank
very
you.
happy to
Thank
have
you,
you
thank
here.
you.
And without further ado, since you're the moderator, I'm going to hand it right over to you.
Well, thank you all much, and I'm certainly excited to be here to carry on the tradition of Alvin and all of you all with the show. And as always, we thank you for watching, and we ask that you watch us or join us again.
God.